Only the light of his own 2 eyes cut a path through the dense shadow wood. But eyes only reflected light. They did not, could not, make passage for more than one person. And so Empty walked his path alone, unsure of the fate of his surviving companions. He could only hope that they would make it beyond the hungry darkness and reach the eye of the wood. The chosen knew torches were temporary, knew that once extinguished, they would have no path together. The light of the torches helped the crossing and made fellowship possible in the dark. It gave them an island of safety, but only so long as they were lit. When the breath of the forest blew them out, there was no more safety. They must finish the journey alone. They had no choice. At least one must succeed. Things at home were bleak after the failure of last year's ritual. Empty put one foot in front of the other, gripping his shoulder pack tight against him. He squeezed his way through the darkness that pressed against his flesh behind him and on his sides like the palm of some ancient gnarled hand. There was no way to describe what it was like to move through the living dark of the shadow wood. A veteran had told him it was like moving through water or molasses, but that wasn't quite right. The darkness was slimy too, like brushing up against warm, moist moss that stroked your body in anticipation. Empty pushed his way through, feeling the strange warmth of the hungry wall. Its caresses wouldn't be so gentle if he closed his eyes. His eyes watered. They were dry. The wind had stolen their moisture. The breath of the shadow wood had not relented after it extinguished the torches and their paths divided. Most of the time, it was a warm, woodsy wind, but when it had consumed several of his companions, he could smell the darkness digesting. It didn't last long, but it had lasted long enough. He needed only think of his struggling companions for the smell to flood his senses with awakened memory. Here there could be no dreaming. Here all dreams slid their way into waking life. Empty stopped. He ached. He stretched, pushing the living darkness as far as he could away from himself. His bones and joints groaned and popped. The darkness swallowed the sound. Empty drew a long, deep breath and released it. Then he risked a single blink. In that fraction of a second he felt the press of darkness against him, but there was not time or space enough for the shadow wood to claim him for a meal. The alchemist of his village had made each of the chosen a potion to use on their eyes, but Empty's was long gone. They were to use it every 2,000 paces, and he had listened, had gave up counting when the drops were gone. The journey was not supposed to take so long. The veterans had agreed only 2 days in darkness if you walked true to center. They gave each of the chosen 3 days of eye potion. Empty hunkered down and reached into his pack. There was little in the way of provisions left, but what he had plenty of was the special sticky gum that the alchemist had made to help the chosen keep their eyes open once the torches went out. He withdrew the gum from his pack and carefully lifted the lid of the crock. He would need to blink before he used it. Once he applied the gum, it would be difficult to blink. He needed only rub it off, but to blink right after application was a waste. He looked at what was left and guessed he had 1, maybe 2 days' worth. Empty doubted it mattered. He wouldn't be able to keep going any longer than another day anyway. Still hunkered, he took another deep breath and blew it out, chancing the 3rd blink. This time he dared hold his burning eyes closed a moment longer. Branches like teeth whipped out, invisible in the darkness, and pricked his flesh. He opened his eyes with the brightness of pain, but the branches of the shadow wood had withdrawn that fraction of the second that his eyes had opened. Sometimes he could glimpse the branches that looked like tentacles as he opened his eyes, but it was fast, mostly just a blur.